Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering the LEC 2025 Winter Split. For this occasion, I'm here accompanied by Jojopyun of Movistar KOI, coming off of a victory over SK to thus finish week 2 in set split and thus go currently on a 5-1 record at the time of the recording. So Jojopyun, thank you so much first and foremost for giving me a chance to do this interview. And coming off of another victory, another resounding victory, I would say, must make you feel pretty good. So I gotta ask you, like, end of week 2, vibes going all well. How you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it feels definitely good to be at the state we're in right now. Like, we don't have to worry about making playoffs or any of this stuff because it's the best of one. So random stuff can happen. Like, look at G2, right? Obviously, they're a good team, but unfortunately, things can happen. But for us, now we can just take this time to just use it to improve for playoffs. So I think we're in the right mindset going for the whole split. And this win today is nice too, but feels better because I feel like we're playing more as a team and much better fundamentally these past games. So makes it feel even much better. So yeah.
Obviously, you guys finished this second week with a perfect 3-0 record. Obviously, a vast difference compared to, well, not really vast, but like a little bit different compared to the first week in which guys went 2-1. That lone loss coming against the likes of Carmine Core. I just want to ask you, what was like the biggest takeaways from like that result? Moving on from that, finishing out week 1 and then moving on over to week 2 and having basically with the aim of finishing 3-0, which you guys exactly did.
Yeah, I mean, I think week one we're not as good as we were week two. I feel like week one we were much more rushed and made a lot of just felt much more just not in the zone. Like I feel like now since we understand each other much better and we know how we want to play as a team, it's much more easier to know what everyone wants to do in the game and have the same game plan and everyone just make it very obvious what they want to do in the game and then new ideas come out. But week one we were still kind of finding how we wanted to play the game and what will fit us the best and all this stuff. So things are definitely clicking much more week two.
I mean, like, how's the kind of process been like for you, and just having to like continue to get integrated into Koi? Because, like, first week it was just a matter of you just understanding the environment, trying to get used to the new surroundings, but now, as you have another week, now you're more familiar with that aspect. And so what I want to ask you is, how have you kind of viewed your integration? Do you feel like you're much more like better in tune with like the entire environment, just having to play with like the rest of the teams in this new league compared to I was or week 1? Or has it just basically been like a seamless flow for you?
I mean, I think I got along pretty fast and pretty well with the team right away, so there's really no problems with like getting along with the team or anything. The team already had four of the same players, so it was pretty easy for them and it was pretty easy for me to fit in. So I think we just vibed pretty well, pretty fast. So I think it was more of just how we see the game together and what we want to do in the game because I think there's a lot of habits last year that they played. And I thought that there could be more versatility, especially this year. So that's what we're trying to do, and it's working out very good right now. So that's basically was the hardest part. And obviously, we can still play better right now, but the fundamentals are getting much better. And once the fundamentals are really good, then we can focus much more on the details and all this stuff. So that's what we're just keeping on doing.
I mean, given your experience in the LCS for basically the entire career, your entire career up until this year, obviously you have like plenty of like experience in having to play with a different type of game and game style and having a different view of that. What do you feel has been the biggest like contribution you put into this Movistar Koi team in having to like not only fit you into their system but also bring in your view to the game and having to like further refine and further like improve what you guys already have?
Um, yeah, I did feel like I did bring a different perspective because I feel like last year when um, I heard that the side laning was not as good and the team wanted to be much more grouped together. But I feel like now we're much more confident that we don't have to rush and just perma group and hope the enemy team fights, and we can play the map much more, I guess, not obvious and like much more we can slow down at times. So I think that was the biggest difference probably from last year and this year's team, if I had to say, even though I wasn't playing last year, but from what people are telling me and my teammates are telling me. So I think I brought that in and also just like playing through me a lot more because I don't think they played through the first guy much last year. And there's times when I want to be played through and I will carry the game, and other times when I don't need resources at all. So yeah, just that versatility I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and in general, I mean, I feel like you kind of obviously been enjoying, your current state with Movistar Core winning, doing all that good stuff, continuing that momentum, and like you kind of expressed it in like one of the tweets earlier on in this week, and you kind of said, and I quote, "LEC is too fun, you can't lie." And so I want to ask you, just sort of like on top of just having to like enjoy the W's and enjoy all of that good stuff. What about you just playing in the LEC just makes it pretty enjoyable for you so far this year?
It's enjoyable because I think the bottom teams are also not as bad. I think in LCS only the top teams were really good. So I think the solo queue is much more fun too. And I feel this team is very passionate too and very willing to be the best they can be and give their all, which, is very contagious. If even one person has that spark, it can light up the whole team. So I feel like everyone on this team has it. So I feel that passion and that energy. So I would say it's the environments because the practice is just better and also the team itself.
I know you already talked about like going from your experience in the LCS a little bit. I mean, sure, I do, I do understand that I'm asking this kind of question literally at the start of this year, so we're not even like at the midpoint, and haven't had like a lot of time, but still, I want to ask you nevertheless, just to kind of get a view of like what it's like for you at this current point. How do you kind of compare the environment like from right now to like um in your past teams in North America?
I would say there's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. Of course, it's another whole continent, right? So just the way people talk, the mannerisms is much different, the slang is much different, everything is much different, but at the same time, just the team bonding and all these activities and playing league together is like the same. So I would say the differences aren't big. And the gameplay, the most important is the game is like pretty much the same. You're just playing with a new team, and I would say Europe plays much faster in general. So I wouldn't say there's too many differences in game. Obviously the gameplay, the teams I've been on in the past were good. Now it's good. So I've never really been on like a bad team. So it's not a big comparison of gameplay, but Movistar Core is obviously the gameplay is very good. So I would say probably just, yeah, the culture is the most difference, but even then it's not that big of a jump. So I would say it's that.
I mean, given that Movistar is like a Spanish team and like you were walking into a Spanish organ, basically a fully Spanish roster. I mean, I gotta ask you, like, have you been able to like learn some Spanish on the side? Because like I do understand like the comms like of the teams are mostly English. Just to kind of you make you comfortable. But like besides that, have you been learning any Spanish? Have you been kind of learning more of like the Spanish culture, or more so like learning more of like the European culture and that stuff?
I did Duolingo on stream and all that stuff, but besides that, not really, because we're in Berlin, so there's not that many Spanish people anyways. But when I was in Spain, people were talking in Spanish a lot, so I kind of picked up the easy phrases and I did Duolingo a bit. But in Berlin right now, I'm just focused on the game, so not much Spanish going on right now. No,
I mean, what do you feel is like the number one word do you remember the most? Like, the number one most remembered Jojopyun Spanish word?
probably Cassie.
Casi?
Yeah, Cassie. That means close. Yeah.
Oh, casi, yeah. Because like I speak a little
Yeah.
Spanish, so like it's kind of like difficult whenever someone that's not really like fluent in the language like say their own stuff. But casi,
Yeah.
you're casi there, casi there, that's the lesson for you,
Yeah.
for your next Spanish lesson whenever that is. Um, we're cutting close to the end of the time frame for this interview, so I want to ask you a little bit onto the future. So far, like next week, you got the likes of G2 to close out the regular season, then moving on over to playoffs. How do you kind of look at your next set of opponents? Whether it is like difficult or I won't say easy, but like something like that. So, what are your impressions on your next three teams or next three opponents?
I mean, honestly, I don't really. I'm not paying too much attention to who we versed because I think it's just us versus us. I know for sure that if we keep on improving and just focus on ourselves, we're gonna win. So I mean, it's nice reversing G2 will be a fun match, but I don't really care too much about who we verse, honestly, at this point. Just focus on us and keep on improving ourselves, and we'll be good.
5-1 right now, so far in the season. What's the confidence like for you with this team to go further than what they set the bar from last year? What's the confidence like?
I mean, 100% for sure. Like, I'm confident myself. I'm confident in the whole team. I think we're improving very fast. So, yeah.
Of course, and hopefully you guys are able to continue this momentum from now until the end of the split. And so, Jojopyun, thank you so much for giving me a chance to do this interview. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions. And of course, best of luck goes to you next week and beyond.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate it.
Jojo.